People kept seeing one dog on public transport, so authorities put a tracker on him. Although countless people regularly use public transport in Istanbul, Turkey, one passenger in particular stood out from the rest. His name is Boji, and he was a stray dog. No one knows where the canine came from or when he started riding trains and buses. For some, it felt as if he'd always been there. But a few answers began to emerge after a tracker was placed on the pooch. An Anatolian Shepherd mongrel, Boji started to attract the attention of commuters in Istanbul in the summer of 2021. Whether it was on a bus or a ferry, the dog was seemingly popping up everywhere around the city, just chilling with the rest of the passengers. He made for an unusual and heartwarming sight, but his wandering habits also raised some questions. As we mentioned, no one could pinpoint the exact moment when Boji took a liking to public transport. He just appeared inside the various vehicles and kept coming back. But the canine's journeys didn't seem to be random. As Metro Istanbul's Avlan Erol told CNN in October 2021, he knows where to go. He knows where to get out. Speaking to CNN, Chris McGrath, a professional snapper for Getty Images, noted, "Boji's such a free spirit. All he wants to do is ride on transportation. Every time he goes past a bus or van or any form of transport, he just wants to get on it. It's really quite bizarre." Still, as bizarre as it might have seemed to McGrath, apparently local commuters didn't see it that way. Now, in countries such as America or the United Kingdom, it's hard to imagine a stray dog hopping aboard a bus without raising some eyebrows. Yet in Istanbul, homeless animals are treated very differently. And that's all thanks to a fascinating law. Yes, throughout Turkey, there's a no-kill, no-capture law in place that protects strays. The animals can move around as they please. And as per a report by the nation's Internal Security Strategies Department in January 2022, a lot of residents have no issue with that. Over 80% of the people who took part expressed feelings of empathy and compassion towards homeless cats and dogs. On top of that, Istanbul ensures that food and water stations are also installed across the city for these animals. The cats and dogs can get spayed, vaccinated, and neutered if need be, too. So keeping all that in mind, it shouldn't be surprising that the commuters weren't fazed by Boji's presence. In fact, one passenger interviewed about strays in October 2021 seemed to voice the views of most locals. While talking to German TV current affairs program DW News, the unnamed commuter said, "Stray animals are a part of Istanbul. We share our streets and parks with them, so why not our trams, too?" Anyway, as Boji continued to appear on buses and trains, city officials started to wonder how far he'd travel on a normal day. So, Boji was brought in by the Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality, with workers placing a tracker on him. And in the days that followed his release, they were left stunned by the figures on their devices. According to the equipment, the stray dog was traveling roughly 18 miles each day via viaduct trains, ferries, and other modes of transport. He was covering a lot of ground. As Boji became a more familiar face on public transport, commuters also started to take photos of him before sharing the images online. They got so popular that someone even created Instagram and Twitter pages for the stray. At the time of writing, the former account boasts around 118,000 followers, while the latter has over 113,000. While he wouldn't have known it, Boji had become a social media star, and he had caught the attention of a certain snapper. Yep, McGrath picked up on the canine's growing popularity online. But as new pictures continued to flood in, the photographer developed an insatiable curiosity. What did a normal day look like for the dog? He intended to find out. To that end, McGrath joined Boji on his travels through Istanbul for a day in the fall of 2021. Then, the cameraman went on to share his findings with CNN. And the first thing he noticed was just how famous the dog had become with the locals. He said, "Everybody knows him now, and everybody's seen him." McGrath continued, "Boji went into one restaurant and two men sort of shooed him away, yelled at him. And then you hear someone else, another restaurant owner, yelling at those guys going, 'It's Boji. It's Boji. Don't shoo him away.' So he's definitely got celebrity status now. The numbers on social media certainly back that up. And something else also caught the snapper's eye. Yes, McGrath was fascinated by Boji's trainboarding routine. The photographer recalled he knows exactly where the doors are. He'll stand on the side of the platform, and as soon as he hears the vibration of the train coming, he goes to the very end and then basically chases the train back and waits by the door. He's quite pushy, actually. People are trying to get off, he tries to get on. In addition to that, McGrath also saw that Boji had a favorite spot on his travels as well. He noted, at the ferry, he'll sit at the back where the engine is because of the vibration, he likes it. And then when he's on the subway train, he sits where the wheels are, like right underneath on top of the wheels. He always likes this feeling of sitting on those. Now, that particular part of the train is called the Bogi area, with Boji the Turkish translation. Yes, that's how the stray dog picked up his fitting name. Anyway, as their day together progressed, McGrath picked up on another interesting detail. As it turned out, the pooch would only travel on a ferry heading to a specific destination. Boji checked one, and people were getting on, McGrath told CNN. I don't know how he knows, but that one was going to Eminönü. And the other one was going to Besiktas. So he checked the Eminönü one and went, no, that's not the right one. And then he ducked under the turnstiles and went on to the Besiktas one. He seems to like riding the Besiktas ferry. As for his behavior, McGrath revealed that Boji was very friendly with humans, although he often ignored direct instructions while traveling. But the same couldn't be said for his relationship with cats. Much like many other dogs before him, the stray pooch wasn't a big fan of felines. And the Getty Images photographers saw that firsthand on the streets of Istanbul. McGrath added, Istanbul is called Catstanbul because there's so many cats here. Boji sees a cat in the distance, and he just chases it up. I saw him do it 3 or 4 times, chased him up trees and stuff. He really dislikes cats. But apart from that, he's totally a perfect dog. He just wanders around. Everybody pats him. He's super happy. Following his day with McGrath, Boji maintained his unique routine for a little while longer. But everything changed in January 2022. At that point, a Turkish businessman named Ömer Koç decided to adopt the stray dog. So after all those miles of travel around Istanbul, he finally found a place to call home. His presence on the city's public transport is sorely missed, though.